Your subconscious is already choosing. Before you do, your subconscious is already running your life, even when you believe you are making your own choices. Before you hesitate, it has already searched your past. Before you step forward, it has already remembered what once felt painful, unsafe, embarrassing, or uncertain. Before you decide, it has already asked one quiet question. Is this familiar? Not, is this good for you? Not, is this aligned with your future? Not, is this who you are trying to become? Just this, is this familiar? That is why change can feel so hard. You can want discipline and still reach for distraction. You can want confidence and still shrink when it is time to be seen. You can want a new future and still return to the same thoughts, the same reactions, and the same invisible limits. This is not because you are broken. It is because something inside you has been trained. For thousands of years, human beings have tried to understand this hidden force. The ancient Stoics understood that the greatest battle was not always outside the body, but inside the mind. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, faced war, pressure, betrayal, and uncertainty. Yet his private writings returned again and again to one principle: rule yourself first. Because if you cannot govern your reaction, the world will govern it for you. Centuries later, early psychology described the same truth with a different language. William James saw that repeated action shapes the person we become. Not one emotional promise, not one dramatic decision. Repeated action, repeated attention, repeated direction. Then Ivan Pavlov showed how living systems can learn to respond automatically to repeated signals. A sound, a cue, a trigger, a pattern. Over time, the response can happen before conscious thought has time to speak. That is the power of the subconscious. It does not wait for motivation. It runs what has been repeated. And your mind is no different. Your reactions have been trained. Your fears have been trained. Your limits have been trained. Your self-image has been trained. But what has been trained can be retrained. What has been repeated can be replaced. What has been programmed can be reprogrammed. Welcome to Inner Power Audio, a place for deep mindset, audiobooks, self-mastery, emotional control, inner discipline, and the quiet strength it takes to rebuild yourself from the inside out. If this message speaks to something you have been feeling, subscribe to the channel, save this audio, and share it with someone who is trying to break an old pattern and become stronger from within. Because this is not just another motivational message. This is training. This is not about pretending everything is positive. It is not about forcing yourself to believe words that feel empty. And it is not about escaping your life through fantasy. This is about understanding how your inner world was programmed, how it keeps repeating itself, and how you can begin to write a new pattern through awareness, emotion, repetition, identity, and action. The title says it works so fast it feels scary. But what feels scary is not magic, it is recognition. It is the moment you realize that the voice saying, "I can't," may not be the truth. It may only be repetition. It is the moment you understand that the fear holding you back may not be a warning about your future. It may be an echo from your past. That realization can hit fast, because once you see the program, you can no longer confuse it with who you are. You are not your hesitation. You are not your fear. You are not the old sentence playing in your mind. You are the one who can observe it. And what you can observe, you can begin to change. For the next few minutes, do not listen passively. Do not treat this audio like background noise. Listen like you are entering a private room inside your own mind. Listen for the sentences you repeat without noticing. Listen for the emotional patterns that pull you back. Listen for the old identity that appears right before you are about to grow. You will not be asked to become perfect. You will not be asked to erase your past. You will be asked to become honest. Honest about what has been running you. Honest about what you have been repeating. Honest about the identity you have been living from. And honest enough to choose a new one. We will move through this process step by step. First, you will understand why the subconscious reaches for what feels familiar. Then you will learn how hidden beliefs shape automatic choices. You will see why emotion gives power to thought, why repetition creates familiarity, and why your self-image sets the ceiling of your life. From there, you will build a new inner voice, interrupt old patterns at the first signal, and give your subconscious new evidence through small actions. So before we begin, take one slow breath. Let your shoulders drop, let your jaw soften, and listen closely. You are not broken. You are running an old program. Now it is time to understand how that program works. Chapter 1. Your subconscious is not your enemy. Chapter 1. Your subconscious is not your enemy. Your subconscious is not your enemy. I know it may feel that way sometimes. You decide to change, but the old habit comes back. You tell yourself you will be more disciplined, but distraction still feels easier. You promise that this time will be different, but when pressure shows up, the same reaction appears again. And when that happens, it is easy to blame yourself. You may ask, why am I like this? Why can't I just do what I said I would do? Why do I keep going back to the same pattern? But before you judge yourself too quickly, understand this. Your subconscious is not trying to ruin your life. Most of the time, it is trying to protect you. The problem is that it often protects you with old information. It remembers what felt uncomfortable. It remembers what felt unsafe. It remembers what caused embarrassment, rejection, disappointment, or pain. So when you try to do something new, even something good, your subconscious may not see it as growth right away. It may see it as risk. That is why speaking up can feel hard, even when you know you have something valuable to say. That is why starting a new goal can feel heavy, even when you truly want the result. That is why becoming more visible, more disciplined, or more confident can feel uncomfortable at first. Not because those things are wrong, but because they are unfamiliar. And to the subconscious, unfamiliar often feels unsafe. This is an important difference. Resistance does not always mean you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it only means your mind has not learned to feel safe on that path yet. Think about someone who wants to apply for a better job. They open the laptop after work. They pull up the application. They look at the resume. Then they start editing the same sentence again and again. After a few minutes, they feel tired. They close the tab and tell themselves, "I'll do it tomorrow." From the outside, it looks like laziness. But underneath, it may be protection. Maybe they were rejected before. Maybe they were judged before. Maybe some part of them learned that trying and failing hurts more than not trying at all. So the subconscious chooses delay, not because delay is good, but because delay feels safer than possible rejection. This is how many patterns work. A person who avoids being seen may have learned that visibility led to criticism. A person who overthinks every decision may have learned that mistakes were punished. A person who stays in familiar discomfort may not want to suffer. They may simply know how to survive there. That is why familiar pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. The mind often chooses what it knows before it chooses what is better. So if you want to reprogram your subconscious, the first step is not to attack yourself. It is to understand what your system is trying to protect. This does not mean making excuses. It does not mean staying the same. It means you stop wasting energy fighting yourself blindly. You begin to see the pattern clearly. When fear shows up, you can pause and say, "This is an old signal." When procrastination shows up, you can say, "My mind is reaching for safety." When self-doubt shows up, you can say, "This feeling is familiar, but it is not a final command." That small pause matters. Because once you can name the pattern, you are no longer completely inside it. You have a little space. And in that space, you can choose something different. You do not need to force a huge transformation in one day. You only need to give your mind a new experience. A small one, a real one. One action that proves the new path is safe enough to take. If you want your mind to feel safe with discipline, prove discipline in small steps. Keep one promise. Finish one task. Turn off one distraction. If you want your mind to feel safe with confidence, prove confidence through small moments. Speak one sentence, make one request, take one action before fear finishes talking. The subconscious learns through repeated evidence, not through pressure, not through shame, not through one emotional promise. Repeated evidence, that is how safety begins to move. Slowly, your mind starts to realize, we can try and still be okay. We can change and still be safe. We can take one step without falling apart. And when that happens, the old pattern begins to lose some of its control. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It is more like an old guard at the door. It is trying to protect you from danger it remembers. But not every remembered danger belongs in your future. So your job is not to hate that old guard. Your job is to lead it. Calmly, clearly, again and again. You do not become free by fighting every reaction. You become free by teaching your mind that a new response is safe now. That is where real change begins. Your subconscious protects the familiar, even when the familiar keeps you small. And in the next chapter, we will look at the hidden beliefs behind those familiar choices. Because every automatic pattern has a sentence underneath it, a belief, a quiet command. And until you find that command, you may keep obeying it without knowing why. Chapter 2. The hidden beliefs behind your automatic choices. Every automatic pattern has a belief underneath it. Not always a loud belief. Not always something you say out loud. Most of the time, it is quiet. It sits in the background and speaks in short sentences. I'm not ready. I always mess this up. People like me don't really win. If I try, I might fail. If I speak, I might be judged. And because these sentences are quiet, you may not notice them. You only notice the result. You notice the hesitation. You notice the delay. You notice the fear. You notice yourself choosing the same thing again, even when you promised you would choose differently. But the choice is not random. There is usually a sentence behind it, a belief, a quiet command. And until you find that command, you may keep obeying it without knowing why. Think about someone who keeps avoiding the gym. They may say, I'm just lazy. But maybe the hidden belief is different. Maybe it is, I don't belong there. Maybe it is, people will look at me. Maybe it is, I always quit, so why start again? The problem is not just the gym. The problem is the story attached to the gym. Or think about someone who avoids posting their work online. They keep editing. They keep waiting. They say they need more time. They call it preparation. But underneath, the belief may be, if people see my work, they will see that I'm not good enough. So they wait for the work to become perfect. They wait for confidence to arrive first. They wait until there is no risk of judgment. But that day rarely comes. Sometimes preparation is only fear wearing a professional mask. This is why changing behavior can feel so frustrating. You try to fix the action, but you never question the belief that keeps creating the action. You try to wake up earlier, but underneath, a belief says, I never stay consistent. You try to start the project, but underneath, a belief says, if this is not perfect, people will judge it. You try to be more confident, but underneath, a belief says, if I stand out, I will be criticized, so the surface behavior becomes the thing you fight. But the deeper belief remains untouched. And when the belief remains untouched, the pattern returns. This is not about blaming yourself. It is about becoming more accurate. Because a hidden belief does not need to be true to control you. It only needs to be repeated. If you repeat, I'm not ready long enough, waiting starts to feel responsible. If you repeat, I always fail long enough, your mind starts looking for proof before you even begin. If you repeat, people will judge me long enough, silence starts to feel safer than expression. That is how a belief becomes a limit. It does not always block you like a wall. Sometimes it guides you like a quiet map. It tells you where to go, what to avoid, what to expect, what to fear, and what to call impossible. After a while, that map begins to feel like reality, but it may not be reality. It may only be a belief you practiced until it felt true. So here is the work of this chapter. Start listening for the sentence underneath the pattern. When you delay something important, do not only ask, "Why am I procrastinating?" Ask, "What am I believing right now?" When you avoid speaking up, do not only ask, "Why am I nervous?" Ask, "What do I believe will happen if I am seen?" When you quit too early, do not only ask, "Why do I have no discipline?" Ask, "What story am I telling myself about effort, failure, or success?" These questions move you from judgment to awareness. Judgment says, "I am lazy." Awareness says, "I may be believing that effort will not pay off." Judgment says, "I am weak." Awareness says, "I may be believing that pressure means danger." Judgment says, "I never change." Awareness says, "I am repeating an old story, and now I can question it." That is a different kind of power. Not loud power, clear power. The power to see the sentence before it becomes a decision. The power to question the belief before it becomes your identity. For today, choose one pattern you keep repeating, not 10. 1. Maybe it is procrastination. Maybe it is overthinking. Maybe it is avoiding difficult conversations. Maybe it is quitting when things become uncomfortable. Write it down clearly. Then ask, what belief makes this pattern feel necessary? Do not rush the answer. Let it be simple. Let it be honest. Maybe the answer is, "I believe I will fail." Maybe it is, "I believe people will judge me." Maybe it is, "I believe I cannot trust myself." Once you find the belief, do not fight it immediately. First, look at it. Separate yourself from it. Say, "This is a belief I learned. It is not the whole truth." That sentence creates distance, and distance gives you choice. Because a belief you can observe is a belief you can begin to rewrite. You do not have to believe every thought that sounds familiar. You do not have to obey every sentence your past taught you. And you do not have to keep living from a command you never consciously chose. The hidden belief behind your automatic choice is not your destiny. It is a pattern. It is a sentence. It is a quiet instruction that can be questioned, challenged, and replaced. But before it can be replaced, it has to be seen. So listen before you delay. Listen before you shrink. Listen before you say, "That's just how I am." There is probably a sentence underneath. Find it, name it, question it. Because once you see the belief behind the pattern loses some of its power. And in the next chapter, we will go one layer deeper. Because a new belief does not become powerful just because you say it. It becomes powerful when your body begins to feel it. That is why Chapter 3 is about emotion, the language your subconscious understands before words. Chapter 3. Emotion is the language of the subconscious. A new belief does not become powerful just because you say it. It becomes powerful when your body begins to accept it. That is why many people repeat positive sentences and still feel no real change. They say, "I am confident," but their chest is tight, their breathing is shallow, their shoulders are tense, their face is serious, and deep inside the body is still saying, "No, we are not safe." So the words are new, but the emotional signal is old. And the subconscious usually trusts the emotional signal more than the sentence. This does not mean words are useless. Words matter, but words need the right state behind them. If you say, "I trust myself," while your body feels panic, the subconscious receives mixed information. The words say trust. The body says danger. And when those two signals disagree, the body often wins. That is why reprogramming is not only about changing thoughts. It is also about practicing a new emotional state, a calmer state, a steadier state. A state where the new thought can enter without being rejected immediately. Think about someone who wants to speak up in a meeting. Before they say anything, their heart starts beating faster. They imagine people disagreeing. They imagine saying the wrong thing. They imagine looking unprepared. Then they tell themselves, "Be confident." But the body does not feel confident. The body feels exposed. So the subconscious tries to help by keeping them quiet. Now imagine they practice differently. Before the meeting, they sit for 1 minute. They slow their breathing. They relax their jaw. They place both feet on the floor. Then they say one simple sentence. "I can speak one clear sentence. Not, I am fearless, not everyone will agree with me. Just, I can speak one clear sentence. That sentence is small enough for the body to accept. And that matters. Because the subconscious does not need a dramatic emotional high. It needs a repeated feeling of safety. A slower breath is a signal. A relaxed posture is a signal. A calmer voice is a signal. A pause before reacting is a signal. These small signals tell the subconscious, we are not in danger right now. When the subconscious feels less threatened, a new belief has more room to land. So when you repeat a new belief, do not rush. Do not say it like you are trying to win an argument with yourself. Say it slowly, let the body catch up. If your new sentence is, I can handle this, then breathe like someone who can handle one small step. Sit like someone who can stay steady for one moment. Speak like someone who does not need to panic immediately. You do not need to feel perfect. You only need to feel safe enough to begin. Safe enough is the goal, not fearless. Not completely certain, not magically transformed, safe enough. Because a new emotional state gives the subconscious a new kind of signal. If every new action feels like a threat, the old pattern stays strong. But if you pair the new thought with a calmer state, the mind starts to learn. This is different, but it is not dangerous. This is new, but we can survive it. This is uncomfortable, but we are still okay. That is how emotion helps reprogramming. It gives the new thought a place to land. You can practice this today. Choose one sentence you want your mind to learn. Keep it simple. I can take one step. I can return to calm. I can act before doubt takes over. Then say it while slowing your breath. Say it while relaxing your shoulders. Say it in a calm voice. Do not force yourself to believe it completely. Just let your body experience the sentence without panic. That is enough for now. Because the first goal is not instant belief. The first goal is reducing resistance. When your body stops fighting the sentence can begin to go deeper. Emotion is the language your subconscious understands before words, not dramatic emotion, not fake excitement, a steady emotional signal, repeated with a thought, connected to a small action. That is how the new belief begins to feel real. So before you try to change everything, start with the state you bring into one thought, one breath, one sentence, one small step. Let the body learn safety. Let the mind hear the new command without threat, and let the subconscious begin to understand. This new way is not dangerous. This new way can become familiar. In the next chapter, we move into repetition, because one calm moment matters. But repeated calm moments create a pattern your subconscious can begin to trust. Chapter 4. Repetition turns a strange thought into a familiar truth. By now, you have done something important. You have stopped looking only at the surface. You have seen that a pattern often has a belief underneath it. You have seen that a new thought needs a calmer emotional state before it can go deeper. That is progress. Quiet progress. Useful progress. Now we move to the next part of reprogramming, repetition. The subconscious does not change because it hears something once. It does not trust a new sentence immediately. It does not forget years of old training because you had one clear moment. The subconscious trusts what it meets again and again. That is why old beliefs can feel so true, even when they are not true. They were repeated. Maybe through words, maybe through experiences, maybe through reactions, maybe through things other people said so many times that your mind started to carry them as fact. I am not good enough. I never stay consistent. I always mess things up. I am not the kind of person who changes. A sentence repeated long enough can start to feel like reality, not because it is reality, because the subconscious has heard it often enough to treat it as familiar. This is why a new thought can feel fake at first. You say, I can trust myself. And part of your mind says, no, you cannot. You say, I can stay consistent. And part of your mind remembers every time you stopped. You say, I can become calm. And part of your mind remembers every time you reacted too fast. That does not mean the new thought is false. It means the new thought is not familiar yet. There is a difference. A new belief may feel strange because your subconscious has not met it enough times. It has not heard it enough. It has not felt it enough. It has not connected it to enough moments in your life. So do not panic when the new sentence feels uncomfortable. Strange does not mean wrong. Strange often means new. Think about learning to drive. At first, every movement takes attention. You think about the mirror, the brake, the lane, the cars around you. Nothing feels automatic. But after enough repetition, the same actions become natural. You do not talk yourself through every movement anymore. Your system has learned the pattern. The subconscious works in a similar way. It turns repeated signals into automatic responses. That can work against you when the repeated signal is fear, doubt, or avoidance. But it can also work for you when the repeated signal is calm, clarity, and steady direction. This is why repetition is not boring. Repetition is how the subconscious learns familiarity. The first time you speak a new belief, it may feel weak. The 10th time, it may feel less strange. The 50th time, your mind may stop resisting it so much. Not because the sentence is magic, because the sentence is becoming familiar. But repetition must be simple. If you choose 10 affirmations, you may forget them by tomorrow. Choose one sentence. One sentence that speaks directly to the old pattern. If the old sentence is, I never finish, the new sentence might be, I finish small things consistently. If the old sentence is, I always fall back, the new sentence might be, I return faster every time. If the old sentence is, I cannot trust myself, the new sentence might be, I keep the next promise, then repeat it daily. Not loudly, not dramatically, clearly, calmly, with attention. Say it in the morning. Say it before the action. Say it after you return from a mistake. Let the subconscious meet the same direction again and again. The goal is not to feel different for one moment. The goal is to make the better thought familiar. Because when something becomes familiar, the subconscious stops treating it like a stranger. It starts allowing it into your behavior. This is where many people quit too early. They expect the new belief to feel natural immediately. It will not. At first, it may feel like wearing clothes that do not fit yet. A little awkward, a little unfamiliar, not quite yours. But if you keep living with it, it starts to fit. Your mind begins to understand. This is how we speak now. This is how we return now. This is how we respond now. That is repetition doing its work. So today, choose one sentence. Make it simple. Make it believable enough to practice. Repeat it at the same time each day. Let your mind meet it again and again. The mind trusts what it meets often enough. And when the subconscious meets a new thought enough times, it stops treating it like a stranger. It starts treating it like home. That is when repetition becomes reprogramming. Not because you said something once. Because you stayed with it long enough for the subconscious to recognize it. In the next chapter, we take this deeper. Because repetition changes what feels familiar. But your self-image decides what you believe you are allowed to become. Chapter 5. Your self-image sets the limit of your life. You do not live only from your goals. You live from the person you believe you are. That is why two people can write the same goal and still live completely different lives. One person says, I want to be disciplined, but deep down they still see themselves as someone who always quits. So when the first hard day arrives, quitting feels familiar. Another person says, I want to be confident, but deep down, they still see themselves as someone who should stay quiet and not draw too much attention. So when it is time to speak, silence feels natural. This is why self-image matters. Your self-image is the private picture you carry of yourself. Not the version you post. Not the version you explain to other people. The private one. The one that says, this is who I am. This is what I can handle. This is what people like me do. This is what people like me avoid. Because that picture feels so familiar, you may not notice how much it controls. You may think you are only making daily choices, but many choices are quietly trying to match the identity you already believe. If you believe you are someone who never finishes, unfinished work will feel normal. If you believe you are someone who always loses focus, distraction will feel expected. If you believe you are someone who cannot stay calm, every stressful moment will seem to confirm it. The mind likes consistency. It wants your behavior to match your identity. So if your goal says one thing, but your self-image says another, the self-image usually wins. That is why you can want a new result and still return to an old pattern. The goal is new, but the identity is old. And the subconscious often follows the identity because identity feels like truth. Think about someone who wants to become healthier. They buy better groceries. They plan workouts. They watch videos. For a few days, everything looks different. But inside, they still think, I am not a healthy person. I never stick to this. So the first missed workout becomes more than a missed workout. It becomes proof. See, this is who I am. Then one missed day becomes 3 days become a week. Soon, the old identity takes over again. The problem was not only the missed workout. The deeper problem was the meaning they attached to it. A person with an old self-image says, I missed one day, so I failed. A person building a new self-image says, I missed one day, so I returned today. That difference matters. Because self-image does not only affect what you do, it affects what you think your actions mean. If you still see yourself as the old version, every mistake becomes evidence against you. But if you are building a new identity, every return becomes evidence for you. This is why reprogramming cannot stop at thoughts. It has to reach identity. You are not just trying to say better sentences. You are trying to become the kind of person who can live from those sentences. Not perfectly, not instantly, but consistently enough that your subconscious starts to update the picture. So ask yourself, who do I believe I am when no one is watching? Do I see myself as someone who finishes, someone who returns, someone who can handle pressure, someone who keeps small promises? Or do I still see myself as someone who always falls back? Be honest, not harsh, honest. The goal is not to shame the old picture. The goal is to stop letting it make every decision. You can build a new self-image through small identity-based actions. If you want to see yourself as disciplined, do one disciplined thing every day. If you want to see yourself as calm, practice one calm pause before reacting. If you want to see yourself as confident, take one visible action before you feel ready. Small counts. Every small action gives the subconscious a new picture. At first, the new picture may feel strange. That is normal. You are not used to seeing yourself this way yet. But if you keep giving your mind repeated proof, the picture begins to change. You start saying, maybe I am someone who returns. Maybe I am someone who finishes. Maybe I am someone who can change. Eventually, maybe becomes familiar. Then familiar becomes believable. Then believable becomes identity. So today, choose one identity sentence, not a fantasy, a direction. Something like, I am becoming someone who keeps promises to myself. I am becoming someone who returns quickly. I am becoming someone who acts with calm. Then prove it once. One small action, one clear decision. One moment where your behavior matches the new picture. Your self-image sets the limit of your life, but it is not fixed. It can be changed. It can be updated. It can be rebuilt through repeated evidence. You do not rise to the life you want by only chasing goals. You rise by becoming familiar with the person who can live that life. And in the next chapter, we work with one of the most important tools in that process, the voice you hear inside your own mind. Chapter 6. Build a new inner voice that leads you. The voice you use with yourself matters. Not just once in a while. Every day, in quiet moments, in hard moments. In the space between wanting to change and actually taking action. Most people do not notice how they speak to themselves. They only notice how they feel afterward. They feel small, heavy, ashamed, behind. Not enough. But if they slow down, they often find a voice underneath those feelings. A voice that says, you always mess this up. You are too late. You should have done more by now. You will probably quit again. That voice may sound normal because it has been there for so long, but normal does not mean healthy, and familiar does not mean true. If you speak to yourself like an enemy, it becomes hard to build trust with yourself. If your inner voice is always attacking, the subconscious stays tense. It prepares for failure. It expects pressure. It waits for criticism. And when your inner world feels unsafe, change becomes harder than it needs to be. This does not mean your inner voice should become fake. You do not need to tell yourself everything is perfect. You do not need to pretend you are already where you want to be. You do not need empty positivity. You need a voice that can lead you. Calmly, clearly. Honestly, a good inner voice does not lie to you. It does not flatter you. It does not attack you. It tells the truth in a way that helps you move. There is a difference between "you are a failure" and "you missed the mark. Now return." There is a difference between "you never finish anything" and "finish one small thing right now." There is a difference between "you are weak" and "you are under pressure." Slow down, choose the next step. One voice crushes your energy. The other gives direction. One voice keeps you stuck in shame. The other brings you back to action. This is the kind of voice you are building, not a motivational voice, a leadership voice. A voice that can guide you when emotions are loud. A voice that can speak clearly when fear starts creating stories. A voice that helps the subconscious feel less attacked and more directed. Think about a good coach. A good coach does not insult the player and call that discipline. A good coach sees the mistake, gives the correction, and brings the player back into the game. That is what your inner voice should learn to do. See the pattern, give the correction, return to the action. For example, when procrastination shows up, the old voice may say, "You are lazy again." The new voice says, "Start with 2 minutes." When fear shows up, the old voice may say, "You cannot handle this." The new voice says, "Take one breath, then take one step." When doubt shows up, the old voice may say, "You are not ready." The new voice says, "Ready is built by doing." Simple, clear, usable, that is what makes it powerful. Your subconscious does not need long speeches. It needs repeated direction. Short sentences, specific commands, consistent tone. So choose a few inner commands you can actually use. Not too many, 3 is enough. 1 for fear, 1 for discipline, 1 for returning after a mistake. For fear, I can take 1 step while fear is here. For discipline, I keep the next promise. For mistakes, I return without drama. These are not magic words, they are training tools. They give your mind a path to follow when the old voice tries to take over. At first, the old voice may still be louder. That is normal. You are not trying to delete it in one day. You are practicing a new voice until it becomes easier to access. When the old voice appears, do not argue for 10 minutes. Notice it, name it, then answer with the new command. Old voice, you always fail. New voice, I return and finish one small thing. Old voice, you are behind. New voice, I start from where I am. Old voice, this is too hard. New voice, I only need the next step. This is how you lead yourself. Not by pretending the old voice is gone, but by refusing to let it be the only voice in the room. The subconscious listens to the voice you repeat most. So repeat the voice that gives you direction. Repeat the voice that brings you back to action. Repeat the voice that tells the truth without destroying your confidence. Because the way you speak to yourself becomes the way you move through life. So today, write down 1 sentence you will use when you feel resistance. Make it simple, make it direct. Then use it when the old voice appears. Speak to yourself like someone you are responsible for leading. And in the next chapter, we give that voice a picture to move toward. Because the subconscious does not only respond to words, it also responds to images. Chapter 7. Use mental images to rehearse the new you. Your subconscious responds to images, sometimes faster than it responds to words. That is why you can imagine a future problem and feel stress before anything has happened. You picture the conversation going badly. You picture people judging you. You picture yourself failing. and suddenly your body reacts as if the danger is already here. The image creates a state. The state influences your choices. This is why mental images matter. You are already visualizing. The question is not whether you visualize. The question is what you rehearse most. Many people rehearse failure without calling it visualization. They replay old mistakes. They imagine the worst outcome. They picture themselves being rejected, embarrassed, ignored, or not good enough. Then they wonder why action feels heavy. But the subconscious has been watching those images. It has been receiving the signal. This is what happens when we try. So it pulls back, not because the future is guaranteed to go wrong, but because the image has been rehearsed so often that it starts to feel expected. This does not mean you should sit around imagining a perfect life and do nothing. That is not the point. Visualization is not escape, it is rehearsal. It is a way of showing the subconscious a new pattern before you live it. Athletes use this. Performers use this. Speakers use this. They do not only imagine the trophy, the applause, or the final result. The best ones rehearse the process, the movement, the breath, the response under pressure, the recovery after a mistake. That is the kind of visualization that helps reprogram the subconscious. Not fantasy, rehearsal. So do not only picture the version of you who has already succeeded. Picture the version of you who behaves differently today. Picture yourself waking up and not reaching for the phone first. Picture yourself sitting down and starting the work before you feel ready. Picture yourself hearing criticism and staying calm. Picture yourself feeling fear and still taking one useful step. Picture yourself making a mistake and returning without turning it into a story about your worth. These images are practical. They teach the mind what to expect. They help the subconscious become familiar with a new response before the real moment arrives. Think about someone who wants to become more confident in conversations. They do not need to imagine a movie scene where everyone admires them. That is too far away. Instead, they can rehearse a simple moment, walking into a room, standing with relaxed shoulders, making eye contact, saying one clear sentence, pausing, listening, responding calmly. That image is specific. The subconscious can work with that. Or think about someone who wants to stop procrastinating. They can picture one simple scene, opening the laptop, putting the phone away, setting a timer for 25 minutes, writing the first imperfect sentence. Not perfect, started. That is useful, because the subconscious needs images it can repeat and recognize. So here is the practice. Choose one situation where the old version of you usually takes over. Keep it specific. A meeting, a workout, a difficult conversation, a work session, a morning routine. Then picture the new response. Not the perfect response, the next better response. See yourself doing it slowly, clearly, with enough detail that the mind knows what you mean. Where are you? What are you doing? What do your shoulders feel like? What is your breathing like? What is the first small action? What do you say to yourself? This matters because vague images create vague signals. Clear images create clear rehearsal. And when you repeat that image, the mind starts to recognize it. Then, when the real moment comes, the new response is not completely unfamiliar. You have seen it before. You have practiced it internally. You have given the subconscious a preview. Again, this is not magic. It is preparation. You are not trying to control every outcome. You are training your system to recognize a new way of responding. So today, choose one image, not 10. One. Make it practical. Make it clear. Make it connected to an action you can actually take. Then, rehearse it for 1 minute. See it. Feel it. Then do one small piece of it in real life. Your mind moves toward the picture you rehearse most. So give it a picture worth following. In the next chapter, we move from rehearsal to interruption. Because old patterns do not disappear just because you understand them. You have to catch them when they begin. Chapter 8. Break the old pattern at the first signal. Every old pattern has a first signal. It does not appear all at once. It begins small. A thought, a feeling, a tension in the body, A familiar excuse, a quiet urge to delay, hide, react, or give up. Most people miss this moment. They only notice the pattern after it has already taken over. They notice after they have wasted an hour, after they have said the thing they regret, after they have closed the laptop, after they have avoided the conversation, after they have gone back to the habit they said they were done with. But the pattern started earlier. There was a first signal, and if you can learn to catch that first signal, you can begin to change the outcome. This chapter is about that moment, the moment before the old program fully runs, the moment when you still have a little choice. Maybe your pattern is procrastination. The first signal might be opening your phone, just for a second. Maybe your pattern is emotional reaction. The first signal might be heat in your chest or tension in your jaw. Maybe your pattern is self-doubt. The first signal might be the sentence, "What if I'm not good enough?" Maybe your pattern is avoidance. The first signal might be suddenly feeling tired when it is time to do something important. These signals matter because a pattern is easier to interrupt at the beginning than at the end. It is easier to close the phone after 5 seconds than after 40 minutes. It is easier to pause before the angry message than to repair the damage afterward. It is easier to open the document now than to carry the guilt all day. So the skill is simple. Catch it early, not perfectly. Early, you do not need to control every thought. You only need to notice the first signal sooner. When the signal appears, use 3 steps. Pause, name it. Choose one better action. Pause means you do not move automatically. Just for a moment, you create a small space. You take one breath. You stop giving the pattern your body immediately. Name it means you call the pattern what it is. This is procrastination starting. This is self-doubt speaking. This is my old reaction. This is the urge to avoid discomfort. Naming it matters because it separates you from the pattern. You are no longer completely inside it. You are observing it. Then choose one better action. Not a perfect action, not a huge action. One better action. If the pattern says scroll, you put the phone across the room. If the pattern says delay, you work for 2 minutes. If the pattern says react, you wait before answering. If the pattern says quit, you finish one small part. This is how you weaken the old program. Not by winning every battle dramatically, by interrupting the first signal repeatedly. Think about someone who always delays writing. The old pattern begins like this. They open the document. They feel pressure. They check one message, then another, then a video, then another tab. An hour disappears. But if they learn the first signal, everything changes. They notice the urge to check the phone. They pause. They name it. This is avoidance starting. Then they choose one better action. Write one imperfect sentence, just one. That small action interrupts the pattern. It tells the subconscious, we do not have to follow the old route. At first, you may catch the signal late. That is okay. Maybe you notice after 10 minutes of scrolling. Still pause, still name it, still choose one better action. Late awareness is better than no awareness. Over time, you will catch it earlier. 10 minutes becomes 5, 5 becomes 1. 1 becomes the first few seconds. That is how control improves. Not by perfection, by faster awareness. So today, choose one pattern and identify its first signal. What happens right before you fall into it? What thought appears? What feeling shows up? What excuse sounds familiar? What body signal do you notice? Write it down. Then decide your replacement action before the signal appears again. Make it small. Make it clear. Make it easy to start. Pause. Name it. Choose one better action. The pattern weakens the moment you stop obeying its first signal. And in the next chapter, we build on that interruption. Because once you break the old pattern, you need to give your subconscious something new to believe. You need evidence. Chapter 9. Give your subconscious new evidence. Your subconscious does not fully trust words by themselves. It trusts evidence. This chapter is not about repeating a sentence again. It is about giving the sentence something real to stand on. You can say, I am disciplined. But if you keep breaking every small promise, the subconscious will not believe the sentence. You can say, I am confident. But if you avoid every small moment of visibility, the subconscious has no proof. You can say, I am changing. But if your actions keep following the old path, the old program still looks believable. That is why small actions matter. They are not small to the subconscious. They are receipts. Every time you do what you said you would do, even in a small way, you give your mind new proof. Not theory, proof. The mistake most people make is waiting for a big moment. They want one huge breakthrough, one perfect week, one dramatic transformation. But the subconscious is usually changed by repeated proof in ordinary moments. You said you would walk for 10 minutes, and you did. You said you would write one paragraph, and you did. You said you would not check your phone for 30 minutes, and you didn't. You said you would pause before reacting, and you did. That is evidence, and evidence builds trust. Think about someone who says, I cannot trust myself. Maybe they have broken promises to themselves for years. They started plans and stopped. They made schedules and ignored them. They said tomorrow so many times that tomorrow started to mean never. Now if they suddenly say, I trust myself completely, the subconscious may reject it. Not because trust is impossible, because there is not enough evidence yet. So they do not begin with a huge promise. They begin with one small promise. I will open the document for 5 minutes. I will walk around the block. I will put the phone away during breakfast. Then they do it. That is the beginning of trust. Not because the action is impressive, because the promise was kept. The subconscious notices when your words and actions begin to match. Slowly, the old sentence changes. From, I cannot trust myself, to, I kept that promise. Then I can keep small promises. Then I am becoming someone who follows through. That is how evidence works. It does not argue with the old belief. It outproves it. If your old belief says, I never finish, do not debate it for an hour. Finish one small thing. If your old belief says, I always avoid pressure, take one small action under pressure. If your old belief says, I am not confident, do one visible thing before you feel confident. Evidence speaks clearly, and the subconscious listens. But the evidence must be specific, not vague, specific. Not, I will become productive. Instead, I will work for 25 minutes before checking my phone. Not, I will become healthier. Instead, I will walk for 10 minutes after lunch. Not, I will become confident. Instead, I will speak one honest sentence in today's meeting. Specific actions create specific evidence, and specific evidence is easier for the subconscious to remember. This matters because the mind often remembers failure vividly. It remembers the day you quit, the day you froze, the day you avoided, the day you disappointed yourself. So now you are giving it new memories. Small memories of follow-through, small memories of courage, small memories of calm, small memories of returning. These memories become new material for the subconscious. They give the new program something real to stand on. So today, choose one belief you want to build. Then choose one small action that proves it. If the belief is, I keep promises to myself, choose one promise you can complete today. If the belief is, I can act with courage, choose one small action that requires courage. If the belief is, I return quickly, choose one area where you have fallen off and return today. Do not make it complicated. Do not wait until you feel ready. Choose the smallest meaningful proof, then do it. And after you do it, pause for a moment. Let your mind register it. Say, this is evidence, because it is. You are teaching your subconscious that the new identity is not just a sentence. It is something you are living. Small actions are receipts for the identity you claim. And when those receipts begin to stack up, the old story has less room to speak. In the next chapter, we bring everything together. Because the goal is not to prove the new program once. The goal is to live from it long enough that it starts to feel natural. Chapter 10. Stay with the new program until it feels natural. At first, the new program will not feel natural. It may feel slow, awkward, uncomfortable, sometimes even fake. That does not mean it is wrong, it means it is still new. The old program had years of practice. The new program may only have a few days. So do not expect it to feel automatic immediately. At the beginning, you will have to choose it on purpose. Pause on purpose. Speak differently on purpose. Act before doubt finishes talking on purpose. Return after a mistake on purpose. That is normal. Conscious choice comes before subconscious trust. You choose first. Then you repeat. Then the mind begins to accept. Then, over time, the new response becomes easier to reach. This is what many people misunderstand about change. They think if a new habit feels hard, it means they are not meant for it. But hard does not always mean wrong. Sometimes hard means untrained. A person's learning to play piano does not quit because the first song feels unnatural. A person learning a new language does not expect fluency after one conversation. They practice, they make mistakes, they return. Your inner life works the same way. You are learning a new way to respond. A new way to speak to yourself, a new way to handle fear, a new way to turn after mistakes. At first it takes effort, then it takes less. Then one day you notice something. You pause faster, you recover sooner, you stop believing every old thought immediately. You return to the work without turning one missed day into a story about failure. That is the new program becoming familiar. Not perfect, familiar. The goal is not to never feel fear again. The goal is to stop letting fear automatically decide. The goal is not to never procrastinate again. The goal is to catch the signal sooner and return faster. The goal is not to never doubt yourself again. The goal is to stop treating doubt as a final command. This is how you know the new program is working. You still feel the old pull, but you do not obey it as quickly. You still hear the old voice, but it is no longer the only voice. You still face pressure, but you have a process now. That is real change, quiet change, useful change. Change you can live with. So for the next 30 days, keep the process simple. One sentence, one small action, one moment of awareness every day. Choose a sentence that represents the new program. Something like, I keep the next promise, I return without drama, I act before fear takes over, I practice calm before I react. Then attach it to one daily action, not a huge action. A repeatable action. Open the document, walk for 10 minutes, make the call, speak one sentence, pause before reacting, finish one small task. The point is not to impress anyone. The point is to train consistency. Because the subconscious trusts what becomes normal. If you practice the new response only when life feels easy, it stays weak. But if you practice it in small moments every day, it begins to become part of you. And when you miss a day, return. Do not turn a missed day into a collapse. Do not give the old program a whole week because of one imperfect moment. Return quickly. That is one of the clearest signs of a new identity. Not never falling off. Returning faster. The old self says, I failed, so I might as well stop. The new self says, I missed. Now I return. That sentence matters. Because most people do not lose from one mistake. They lose from the story they build after the mistake. So remove the drama, return to the process. One sentence, one action, one return. That is how the new program becomes natural. Not because you forced it once, because you stayed with it long enough. Eventually, the mind begins to recognize the new path. The body feels less threatened by change. The inner voice becomes steadier. The self-image becomes stronger. The actions become more consistent, and the old program loses authority. It may still speak sometimes, but it no longer runs everything. That is the shift. Not becoming someone completely different overnight. Becoming someone who can choose differently more often. So stay with the new program. Practice it when it feels strong. Practice it when it feels boring. Practice it when it feels slow. Practice it when the old pattern tries to return. You are not trying to create one perfect day. You are building a new default. and defaults are built through repetition. Practice the new self until the old self loses authority. That is the work. That is the training. That is how reprogramming becomes real. The old program was learned. The new one can be learned too. You do not need to hate the old version of yourself. That version was not your enemy. It was the result of what you learned, repeated, believed, feared, avoided, and survived. It was a pattern, a program, a way your mind tried to keep you safe with the information it had. But now you have new information. You have seen that your subconscious is not something to fight blindly. You have seen that automatic choices often have hidden beliefs underneath them. You have seen that emotion gives power to thought. Repetition creates familiarity, and self-image shapes what feels possible. You have seen how your inner voice can lead you or limit you. You have seen how mental images prepare your mind for a new response. You have learned how to catch old patterns at the first signal. And you have learned that small actions give your subconscious new evidence. That is the work, not magic, not fantasy, not one perfect sentence repeated without change, awareness, emotion, repetition, identity, action, return. Again and again. This is how a new program is built. The old program was learned. The new one can be learned too. You learn to doubt yourself. You can learn to trust yourself again. You learn to delay. You can learn to begin. You learn to shrink. You can learn to stand. You learn to react from fear. You can learn to pause from clarity. Not instantly, not perfectly, but honestly, repeatedly, one choice at a time. For the next 72 hours, do not try to change everything. Do this instead. Day 1. Write down 3 old programs you notice in your life. Keep them simple. I delay when something matters. I stay quiet when I want to speak. I quit when I miss one day. Do not judge them. Name them. Day 2. Write 1 new command for each old program. If the old program says, I delay, write, I start with 2 minutes. If the old program says, I stay quiet, write, I speak 1 clear sentence. If the old program says, I quit after mistakes, write, I return without drama. Make the new command clear. Make it usable. Make it something you can practice. Day 3. Prove each new command with 1 small action. Start the task for 2 minutes. Speak the sentence. Return to the habit. Send the email. Take the walk. Pause before reacting. Small actions are not small to the subconscious. They are evidence. And evidence is how a new identity becomes believable. So as this audio ends, do not ask yourself for a perfect transformation. Ask yourself for 1 honest choice. 1 thought you will question. 1 breath before the old reaction. 1 action that proves the new program. 1 return when you miss. That is enough to begin. If this audio helped you see something inside yourself more clearly, save it and come back to it when the old voice gets loud again. Share it with someone who is trying to rewrite the way they think. And if you want more deep audiobook sessions for mindset, discipline, and inner strength, subscribe to Inner Power Audio and continue the training. You are not trapped in the old program. You are learning a new one, 1 thought, 1 breath, 1 action, 1 choice at a time.